So we are gonna hurt some feelings today because we gotta tow this truck right here, and we're gonna do exactly what you're not supposed to do. Which, where's the this part doesn't make sense to me either. There's a sticker on this truck. There's a rule, and we're gonna break it. So if we look up here, it says, "Do not tow from rear." But that's what we're gonna do, because if we look under here, the rear end's a little bit all messed up. So if we towed it from the front and the rear end is rolling on the ground with everything in there and the rear end's all messed up, one, it could completely destroy anything that's left good in that setup. Two, could cook all the bearings in there until it's covered in oil, catches on fire. Three, could lose a wheel set, it could lock up going down the road, cause a problem, an accident, something like that. So we're gonna tow it from the rear. Now, this is nothing new. I've towed these from the rear before, and yeah, we are definitely, look at that. We are definitely not towing it with the rear end on the ground, clearly. What is blowing over their horns? But like I said, I've towed these, oh, close up on my face. I've towed these from the rear before because of rear end problems. It's kind of what you have to do. And there's some other people, you know, because I got a YouTube channel, people like to see these videos. There's some other tow companies that are vendors of U-Haul, and it's a U-Haul rule, you know, since they put it right there, that you don't tow these from the rear. So there's some other tow companies. One is like in the Midwest somewhere. Guy's a total clown. He tries to turn me into U-Haul when I do this and tow him from the rear and get me fired from U-Haul, because apparently what I'm doing here in Oregon is competition to him back in the Midwest. Whatever, it's fine. Sorry, my brain vapor locked there for a second, where I was going. But either way, yeah. There's a few people, you know, since I have this whole like reach with this YouTube thing, that have tried to get me fired from U-Haul for towing them from the rear and turning me into U-Haul. And it's funny to me because every time I've had to tow it from the rear, it's because U-Haul asked me to tow it from the rear because it had rear end problems. So when I got the opportunity to tow this one from the rear, of course I'm going to make a video about it just to upset those guys even more, posting a video of me towing a U-Haul truck from the rear and see if they get me fired for it. Anyway, let's do Zacklift things. Now this is going to be a little bit wonky because that's sitting down low and my truck's half on the road up here and half down there, but we'll make it work. We're not going to grab it by the rear bumper. We're going to go underneath and grab the frame. And if I was smart, what I would have done when I was under there looking at the rear end is I would have looked at the frame and see where I wanted to grab, and then I could go over there and get the appropriate forks to go in my receivers. But I didn't, so now I got to crawl into there again and look at it and then figure out what forks and then put them back on and do this whole thing. So like I said, if I was smart. So we get our underreach folded down, brought down here. We're probably going to have to stand our receivers up and use them as risers, because I know that bumper is dropped down from the frame, so we have to reach under the bumper and up to the frame, which is kind of the whole point of these receivers that do all that stuff. So if we look under here, we want to grab right there, and then we can, or we can go right between here. Where's the actual frame in? You see that this is a frame here. Some of them have, not the U-Haul trucks, but some trucks have extensions to come back to like box trucks like this. So you always want to check and make sure that what you're forking is not an extension and it is the actual frame of the truck. So we can either grab it here or we can grab it here. If here we got our fork locked in really well, we just want to look under here and make sure. Oh yeah. That is the original frame, goes all the way up to here. So if we fork it here, we are on the actual main frame. No issues there. Cool. We'll do that. And that doesn't have the big drop down like the bigger trucks do. So that works. We will see which way we want to put these. I'm thinking we're going to want to go outside, which means I want to switch sides too. So on one hand, I keep thinking these receivers are a total pain in the ass, because every time you go to use them, you have to swap sides or swap configurations and every which way, because they're never quite right. But then I realized, what did we have to do before these receivers? Oh yeah, we had to swap out the whole receivers for a whole nother set of receivers that was the different configuration we needed. So before, I never had to like change receiver configurations, just had to change receivers out, which then you had to carry multiple receivers and carry back and forth and have on the truck, and I don't have to do that anymore. These are kind of all in one, so I have to keep reminding myself as I'm like, dang, you always have to change these around. It's like, oh, but we can just change them around instead of having to change them out for another set. I think you will work. But before I commit to pulling out both of you, we're gonna go under here. Ooh, see? Doesn't sit into the throat. So, this will not work. It's not wide enough. But these ones are, for sure. But I don't think they're gonna fit underneath there, so we'll have to put them on under the truck. All right. I'm gonna have to lower that down and back up. And like magic, it's lowered down and backed up. So, will it fit under there? And is our spacing right? And is our height gonna work? And so many other questions. It's definitely gonna need to go that way. I can see that already. But that I can do, so we're good there. Oh no! We're gonna have to, since these are so tall, they've got some rise to them. Are we gonna have to lay those back down? We are. Dang it! That's easy though. See, I got ahead of myself on getting this all laid out. Oops. Tow truck damage. Send me the bill. So now we're gonna flip this way. Same with this one. Slides off. See, this is the part where if I had guessed this normally and was wrong, and I put like riser receivers on it and put the normal receivers back in the truck, I would have to take the riser receivers off, go get the normal receivers back out, and all do completely different, which now we don't have to do that. Okay. Wrong button. Sorry, you're not seeing good, but there. Okay, I need to turn that way and back up, which will kick this over. But I'm going to take this fork out before I do, because if there's any bump or something like that and that comes to hit something, it'll catch it and that won't be good. And we'll tear the truck apart. We're here to solve problems, not create them. This is a problem of hooking up at an angle, is lining up, because as this goes forward and backwards, your lineup moves side to side, so you got to compensate and then still line it all up right. Now Okay, that one will work there. Let's see if the other side will. Oh yeah. Okay. That one's going in. Okay, we're in. Now there's a bolt right here we got to make sure clears. So that puts a lot of tilt in it to clear that. So after all that, we might need to get the risers. We do. Dang it. Okay, I'm gonna cheat though. So I could block these tires up, set it back down on the blocks. Well, no, first of all, I could tow it like this. Call it good and tow it. That's what I could do, and we'd be done. But the other option is, see, watch what's gonna, it's like my underreach, see what a crazy, it's not crazy, but see the tilt it's at? That means as this turns, that crossbar is gonna do this, you know, because it pivots this way and pivots that way. I don't want it to do that. So I could level out the crossbar like this, but now you see those bolts in there hit. That's not good, because I'd like to tow it about this high, but it hit. Unless I added a bunch of tilt, which this truck has a crazy amount of tilt to it because it's a power tilt, like blows away pretty much anything else. But then I have the problem of, as that crossbar turns, it does this, and that pulls and pries on the chassis and all the stuff. I just don't want to do that. So I could set this down, flip those receivers around into the risers, put the forks back in, and have the height I need to clear that. But then I got to reline up the receivers, or I could just go straight down, straight down, then come over here and grab my actual risers. Yep, that's one. You gotta be careful because these are risers and these are U-bolt adapters. They look ever so similar, but they are not the same thing. So now if I take these and pop this out, pop this in, pop this back in. I think I was that way. Yep. And come over here. Pop this out. Drop this in. Drop this in. Just like that. Then, oh, here's my remote right here. Point you at that. We go straight back up, and the forks are going to go exactly where I want them to go because we didn't move any of that stuff. So we got essentially the same amount of rise that we would have got by standing the receivers up, but without flipping the receivers again. Now, look at all the clearance we have. and I have a level crossbar. Much better. Okay, so we're going to get this right here and go tie up our drive line so it's not flopping in the breeze down there. Oh, what a mess. Then we're gonna go get someone out of the store to come soak up this oil. That's no good. Let me put this up here first. You go over here, and then you come up here. Fish that through. Come on, find your hole, go in. Maybe I'll put another one on there just to be on the in case side. These are rated for like 2,500 pounds or something insane like that. So there's no way, but I'd rather it just be tight and not wiggle. So spend the extra $1.50 on another cable seal and be sure that we're secure. Like I said, these are not reusable. Everybody asks that. They're not. They're one-time use cable seals that I use for tying up drive lines because they work really well for tying up drive lines. And then when you get where you're going, you don't gotta remember to get all your drive line straps back out. Oh yeah. So now we get our wood blocks back, get our other one. I've towed that truck before too. Actually, that trailer, yeah, that exact trailer. No, that's the short one, the longer one. Yeah, the longer of those trailers. Lived at my house for a while the truck was getting repaired. All right, so I'm going to go tie steering wheel straight. And I've got the keys so we can start it up and straighten it out. I guess I could get some free storage. I just snagged me that gift certificate. All right. Do it this way. And come down here, they got this nice little hole on the side of the seat. Same thing on this. If we go up through and down, we're not going to honk the horn. Sometimes if you go all the way over like that, it'll pull just right. It'll hit the horn, it'll start honking the horn full bore. Nobody needs that in their lives. Okay, and then our safety. There we go. Now, key right here. Our gloves back on. Bring this to us. Bump her out just a bit. What are we going to safety chain to? So we need safety chains and tie downs. Let's start with tie downs. I didn't look if there was anywhere to grab with a chain under there. That probably would have been smart to do first before I committed to that hookup spot. So, let's hope for the best. All right, we have this nice cross member right here with no wires or anything on it, so we can loop that. Drop this through here. And then that goes through there. Then I did the same thing on the other side. We grab there, grab there, tighten it all down. And the way this nice rounded surface right here leaves a perfect spot to choke, come through, cinch together, which just clamps it all in place. And then we can take our tails and just stick up in there. And up in there. Now I'm going to put light bar on, and then I'm going to pull up in the street and straighten out to do the safety chains, because I don't like hooking the safety chains up while you're all crooked still, so I'm very, very bad at guessing what straight is, and then one's way too tight and one's way too loose, and it's all screwy. So let's pop the hood. Engine still here, that's good. Then we grab I'll just grab this. That's not very secure. What did I do before? I don't remember what I did before. Oh, I went to that. That's what I did. Cool. Now we can do this. And then, how am I going to get you back? Oh, you know what I could do? There. That works. Should probably turn it on. We are on. Okay. I'm going to pull it up onto the street, straighten out, and we'll do some safety chain things. On the street we are. I think that's the height I'm going to tow it at. Looks good to me. So we don't need the PTO anymore, even though I left it on. So since we're going way back under there to that cross member, we'll take our trusty rim slings out, send you that way, send you this way. Come on. Why you no come back? There you are. I could totally just hook that and it's like technically legal, but we'll go to the cross member. Yep. Okay, good. Done. Then, once I get this last chain hooked up, we'll talk about why. I don't know if you heard that. Why it's a rule that you don't tow these from the rear. And what I'm gonna do to mitigate the risk and therefore make it okay. So, clippy. Tighten it up. Looks good. All right. Let's put gloves away, kick PTO off, and talk about what the problem with doing this is. Now that we're hooked up and ready, what is the big problem with towing one of these things backwards down the road, and why do they not want you to do it? Well, the main thing is these doors right here, and then the roof panels over the top up there. Those doors and the door track they're in on the inside there are not designed for 70-mile-an-hour wind hitting that big surface like that, and it is possible for them to come off and end up inside of there. And if these doors either come off completely, or if they push in enough and a couple of those rollers break through and it lets wind into there, that wind going in can blow the roof off the top, because then this is a wind tunnel with no escape. The other thing is all those roof panels up there are overlapped, kind of like shingles of a house, for the wind to go this way. Going that way, it can catch the edges and peel them up. So the big thing not to do is don't go 70 miles an hour down the road and you're towing them like this. One, why would you want to? You're pulling a big parachute that just kills your fuel mileage. Two, just slow down. It's not that big a deal. For me, where we're going, I'm going to be on the freeway for a short little bit, and it's not even a high-speed freeway anyway, and then it's through the mountains to everywhere we're going. So I'm not even going anywhere that has the opportunity to go 70 miles an hour, even though it is a 3-hour run we're going to do right now each way. So I'm going to keep it 55 at an absolute max, probably going between 50 and 55 for a good portion of that highway, really, a little slower, which does not put that much pressure on the door, doesn't put that much pressure on that stuff up there. And another concern a lot of people have that isn't really that big of a deal is weight transfer to the front axle. A lot of people say once you pick up the back, you just put all the weight of the truck on the front axle, and that's just not true. So a lot of times we pick up by the rear axle. That's what I prefer to do, because all this overhang, we grab it back there. This truck does have the reach to get all the way to that rear axle, and if this truck is sitting on the ground as it sits and I pick up by the rear axle this high, it transferred pretty much zero weight to that front axle, because it's still, I'm lifting the amount of weight that was on that axle, pretty much nothing went up there. Since I'm picking up back here, it's now transferring a little more to that front axle, but since this is an empty truck, that little bit of extra weight transfer to the front end is still far less weight on that front axle than when this truck is loaded going down the road. Now if this was a loaded truck, I would not want to pick it up way back here by the end, because then I am starting to transfer a lot more of the weight back here, but I'm still taking most of the weight right here. So if this is loaded, I would try to get either closer up to the axle or by the axle itself, and then the front axle still has the same amount of weight on it as when it was sitting on the ground. But since we're empty, I can grab it right by the back, everything be fine. In the truck we go for a 3-hour road trip. Go drop this thing off and we'll see if the door is still there when we get there. Oh, and what do you know? The back door is still on it. And the front tires didn't blow off from all this extra weight that's not up there. And I can't see it, but I bet the roof's still there too. Let's go turn in the keys. And we are done.